Howdy, and welcome to episode 124 of In the Rabbit Hole's Urban Survival Podcast. In this episode, we discuss guns, bullets, and survival gear reviews. We're your hosts, Aaron
and Jason.
And you are in the rabbit hole, safe and sound. Quick announcements before we get into the episode today. There are 7 episodes left in Season 4 of ITRH. The Season 4 finale will be April 27th. ITRH is not ending, and we are not going away. Season 5 will start August 3rd, 2015. For listeners that are new, this is part of our normal summer break. We take the summer off to work on survival projects, recharge the batteries, and get into trouble. Next announcement. If you're a musician, pay close attention to this next announcement. ITRH is still accepting submissions from musicians interested in getting some publicity and exposure. Whoever comes up with the best ITRH theme song submission will be mentioned in every episode and video we produced using the music. Email me at music@intherabbithole.com for more details, song samples, and anything else we need to pass back and forth. Last announcement. Last week, we gave listeners a chance to get the first ITRH ebook, Owning Your Survival, for free before it goes on sale. Now, we did say this was only good for the week of that last episode, 123. And the week is up, obviously. However, you can still become part of the Roving Horde for free. Go to intherabbithole.com/Roving Horde. And for people like me with a spelling medical condition, Horde ends with an E. We'll be giving away the 2015 Top 10 Simple Bug Out Bag Gear List for free. And that wraps up today's announcements. Let's catch back up where we left off with last episode. That kind of segues us into the Glock and stuff, like doing like reviews of some stuff. And since we had planned on doing a bunch of gear reviews right at the end of 2014, and we had Glen Tate, we had some other things, and so it was the scheduling of things got a little out of whack than what we intended. So we get to do that now, which is all the gear and goofiness that we've gotten into, which actually isn't that much this year, but we've gotten into a bunch of things, and some of it minutia and just some really cool and really garbage gear that we've gotten into this year.
Yeah. But a lot of it is we're evolving and we're starting to get the same kind of gear and the same kind of, like Glocks. Okay. I hated Glocks before. I
hated them too.
And you started getting them, and my wife had them. Mm-hmm. My wife had this Glock 22, and the interchangeability, the simplicity of it, and the fact that you've gotten so good with them that all I have to do is go, "Hey man, do you have?" And you're like, "Yeah.
I have 4 of them."
It's just become easier, and like I've just bought the Glock 42 for the wife. Yes, yeah. I got sucked in mainly because my wife goes, "I want that." My brother-in-law got one. He started calling. My wife really liked it. I'm like, I just wait for the 9mm, but well. Anyway, so I got one of those. I got the Glock 26, and I'm starting to do the whole barrel thing. And to the listeners, Aaron's really good about researching everything to death. And he'll buy one gun, and he'll figure, if it's modular at all, he'll figure out how to do all the different things that you can do with that particular gun. Well, okay, so I got a little prepper envy, and I was like, you know what? I have this Glock 22 now. He's got this one gun that he has like 4 different barrels for, so you can shoot like 4 different calibers out of it. Okay, for a prepper, that's bonus. One gun, 4 calibers, awesome. Okay, so I've gotten into that. I just ordered a bunch of 3 different barrels for this one gun, so I can shoot 40 out of it, 357 SIG out of it, or I can shoot 9mm out of it. And I can use the other big mags that I have for the rest of the Glocks that I have in 9mm to be able to convert that 40 caliber Glock into a 9mm as well, whatever I need to do. It's a beautiful thing, man. Beautiful.
It is, and I'll get to the detailed caveat about those conversion barrels in a second, but go on.
Oh, I mean, that's really about it. I mean, just looking at those and being able to play with one platform and being able to have a couple different calibers.
Yeah. So for me, I had that custom tricked out SIG 229.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. Beautiful gun. Had a very famous pistol smith work on it, Teddy Jacobson, who's insane, but does amazing work. It was like silk. Great gun. But it was heavy as hell. Mm-hmm. The other drawback is it is a very, very low learning curve to learn the basics of working on a Glock, as far as changing out parts. And I mean, I can disassemble truly, completely disassemble down to its most basic parts and reassemble a Glock in under 3 minutes on just kind of, and not trying really hard to go very fast with it.
Oh, yeah.
There was an instance, which I'll come to in a little bit, where I actually started timing myself and I managed to get it just under 2 minutes of being able to completely disassemble and reassemble a Glock. There's a fun aspect of it because I enjoy that kind of stuff. But there's also the idea that the gun is completely user serviceable as long as you have a sense of what you're doing and you're not guessing at things.
Okay, side note, listeners, you can do a trigger job in about 30 minutes. Pretty cool.
That was 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
That was 10 minutes. Actually, I think it may have been less than 10 minutes because I was trying to not let myself get carried away with yours.
Whatever. Dude, it's
how okay. Just stroke my own ego for a second. How did you like your trigger job, Jason?
It's nice and smooth. Seriously?
And that was not.
I have to toot your horn.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the tooting. But I do like that. Now, the caveat, the conversion barrels are nice, and there are several guns that do have the ability to do conversion. And the big thing is 40, 357, SIG, and 9. And as long as you have, in most modern pistols, as long as you have a 40 or 357, they can be down converted to a 9. If you have a 9, you cannot up convert them.
Correct.
Anyway, I'm not going to go into why, but if it doesn't make sense, then you're probably not going to do this anyway. But the nice part about that is now you can have one pistol that shoots 3 calibers. Mm-hmm. The Glocks, at least, and I think the SIGs too, as far as I can remember. Oh, you know what? I need to back up for a second. The SIG, I loved it. It was too heavy, way too complicated for me to work on. I bought the DVD and everything, and I already had all the tools. The pistol smith that I took the pistol to had his own DVD. Here's the complete and total disassembly and reassembly of a SIG. Here's how to put it all back together. And he himself said, like, as I was buying it from him, he was like, now don't do it. I was like, well, then why are you selling me the DVD? Because you're willing to buy it. Okay, thanks a lot. No, I still want it. Yeah, please give it to me anyway. But he's like, don't do it because you're literally, he's like, these things are a giant pain in the ass. You're going to bring it back to me in a pile of parts and be like, Teddy, fix my gun. Mm-hmm. And then so I was like, all right, fine. I started disassembling a little bit and started looking at things and going, I could probably do this, but I don't want to. I get what he's saying. They're really complicated, too complicated. And I like the simplicity of a Glock. Mm-hmm. I do like the SIG did shoot better. I liked the trigger bit better on my SIG and everything else. But at the end of the day, everyday carry, I was always worried about hurting my SIG, tarnishing it. We're in a very humid climate, so we sweat all over our guns since it's concealed carry. Mm-hmm. And I actually did have several issues because of sweating all over my guns. I had the magazine catch kept getting stuck because it would corrode and rust in there. And then I had to have the magazine catch removed and completely recoated in nickel boron or something so that it wouldn't corrode anymore. And then I kept having problems where springs were corroding. And I kept having to take it in because I do sweat a lot, and I was sweating to the point where I was really ruining the gun. And that's a reliability issue. And it didn't matter how much I lubed the gun, that was always an issue. And even he said, yeah, everybody, you live in Houston, you're going to ruin your gun that way unless you decide to, start carrying outside the waistband all the time and where the gun is away from your body and protected from your sweat, which you can't do since you don't have a badge. Thank you very much, Texas. Maybe soon we'll get open carry, but we'll see. But anyway, the point being, the Glocks are super simple. And it's seriously, I can't imagine not being able to teach anybody in 30 minutes how to completely strip and put everything back together and have them doing it very fast. So I like them for that fact. they're serviceable. Anyway, not to worship at the altar of Glocks. They definitely do have their drawbacks. I don't like the trigger. It's not a SIG trigger. It's not a 1911 trigger. They are what they are. But
I can highly recommend for a prepper. I mean, I just saw a cop trade in on a Glock 22. So that's the 40 caliber we're talking about. $370.
Yeah, there are some.
I mean, come on.
The weird thing is, so
$100 a barrel. You've got one handgun that'll shoot 3 different rounds, and you're good to go. And it's reliable. That's the way to go for it.
So I did buy the Lone Wolf conversion barrel to convert because I have a Glock 32, the 357 SIG Glock, and I do really like 357 SIG. And you,
yeah, I love that.
They are a little pricey on ammo. The problem with 357 SIG, it's not that the premium carry ammo is anymore. It's really the same price as 40. Mm-hmm. The problem with 357 SIG, and it's the same problem the 45 has. There's not that big of a price difference between the practice ammo and the carry ammo, right. And it makes no sense to me. I don't get it. 45 has the exact same problem because my dad's still a 1911 guy, and whenever he needs stuff, he's just like, "Yeah, order me gun stuff." So I'm like, fine. And so I look at 45 all the time for that reason, and I'm buying in practice ammo and premium, and I'm like, man, this is the same problem as 357 SIG. Mm-hmm. Anyway. That is the big drawback to 357 SIG. It's not a magic bullet. I just like the way it goes boom. It's loud and in charge.
And it doesn't flip like a 40. That's what I like.
It doesn't flip like a 40. It feels like a 9mm on crack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the best way to describe it.
It's not as violent as a 357 Magnum, but it definitely lets you know it's there and it's in charge. Mm-hmm. And it definitely irritates other people at the gun range. Which I like, because it's like, you're at a gun range. Are you really going to complain about the noise?
Hey, man.
It's always some old man.
223 out of 8-inch barrel. No.
Oh, yeah. That was a fire breathing dragon, which we still need to get the 16-inch 308 I have out to the range to see what kind of fire breathing dragon that bad boy is. And this freaking dog is like either trying to get to the microphone or sit on my shoulder.
He wants to be on the show too.
Get off of me. This is crazy. Get off me, daffy dog. So anyway, barring that interruption, okay, gonna focus and actually finish what I was gonna say, which is there is a problem with the conversion, and the problem. And I sat down with the gunsmith I use now, who's an understudy of Teddy's. Anyway, long story short, Ed Vandenberg, if you're in the Houston area and need a gunsmith, awesome gunsmith, freaking awesome guy, really, really personable. And we sat down and we were talking about it, and I said, so what is the actual problem here? What causes the issue with the 9mm down conversions? And he explained it's actually the breech face on the back. Basically, for those of you that aren't familiar with the nomenclature, it's the part of the slide that the casing rests against, that the firing pin comes out of and pokes the back of the cartridge and sends it on its merry way, hopefully in a safe direction.
So what's the deal?
That is sized for the casing. 40 and 357 SIG use the same, that rim of the casing is the same. So you don't have any issues there. 9mm, it's obviously smaller. So you've got some wiggle room in back of there. Here's what I experienced. In my 357 SIG, because I had a conversion barrel for my 229 357 SIG, and it ran pretty well. And then there was something, Teddy did some adjustments to it or something. I still don't know what exactly was causing the problem, but it was double feeding after he did some work to it and all kinds of other things. I don't think it wasn't anything him, because he wasn't, I just said, tune my gun, like really tune my gun. And so he really tuned it to 357. Before that, it was running pretty reliably with that conversion barrel, but it would still fail more than the gun did running regular, proper caliber it was meant for. So I ran into a similar thing with the Glock. When I got the barrel, I said, okay, I'm going to run. I ended up getting carried away with it. I only intended to run about 1,000 rounds through it to check it, because I was curious, like, how often would it actually fail? I ended up running 2,500 rounds through the Glock 32 with the Lone Wolf conversion barrel in it. And out of those 2,500 rounds, I had 3 stovepipes. Not bad.
Not bad. It's statistically insignificant.
It kind of is. I still don't know that I have much less failures, much less out of just the stock, leave it alone Glock than I do when I start jacking with it.
Understandable.
So I wouldn't carry it. Great for practice. What I ultimately decided to do is I found myself not shooting 357 SIG at all and just like really being bad, even though I meant not to do this, practicing with 9mm all the time. So I finally said, you know what? This is obviously an issue. I'm not practicing with the caliber that I carry enough.
Right.
I should just switch. So I did. I bit the bullet, pun intended, and moved to a Glock 19 and a Glock 26. If all you're gonna do is practice with 9mm, might as well. If you're not, and you're gonna be better about it than what I was doing, and you are actually going to practice enough with 40 and practice enough with 357 SIG, then to me it makes sense. I wouldn't leave it I wouldn't carry it with the 9mm conversion, but it makes sense if you're going to supplement your practice with it. Because let's face it, ammo's gotten a lot cheaper. It's still not cheap.
Right.
It's just like the guys running 22 uppers on their ARs. As long as you're not running it always like that, and you're still running enough 223, 5.56 through that AR to know that you're proficient with that caliber, then super. I get it. Way dropping your practice cost, but I wasn't doing that, and I caught myself and said, you know what? I obviously need to just switch off to 9mm, and as much as I like the boom, let it go. I mean, I kept the 32, and so now I have that, and if I want to play with it, it is my play gun now.
Gotcha.
But I did switch off to a Glock 19, which we'll come to that in a minute. But so that's actually what's causing, as far as what the gunsmith at Vandenberg had to say, that's what actually causes the failures in a 9mm down conversion. But a straight swap between 40 and 357 SIG, in theory, should not cause any problems. Now, that's gun specific. And, if you're not willing to invest 1,000 rounds, say, in testing a conversion, I think if you're just going to slap the barrel in and stick it in a holster and be on your merry way, I think you're asking for trouble. Because there are guns that are very finicky about it. And some barrels need to be fitted. And, anytime you change anything on a gun, you got to go test it. That's like, I've really gotten into gently, and I'm going to stress very gently, doing trigger jobs on the Glocks, because let's face it, the parts are cheap enough. If I screw one up, I can just get a new one, and I already have extra parts anyway. so because I have been screwing with some of the parts in the gun, and there's a lot to it, you shouldn't just jump into it, because there is actually a hard coating on all of the Glock parts, so you got to be very careful. Anyway, so that's what causes the issue. As far as the Lone Wolf barrel itself, 3 failures out of 2,500 rounds, not too shabby.
No.
They were all the same weird stovepipe, though, so I don't know. I guess that's...
Was it the same ammo?
It was, and I was trying a different ammo, but I tried 2 different kinds of ammo in it. One, I had a whole bunch of really cheap, crappy, brass-cased, nylon-clad of all things. It was like a huge ball. Again, this was 2,500 rounds, there was some kind of deal on this like really crappy ammo, and it was like 1,000 rounds of it or something. And then I also had 1,500 rounds of Blazer brass, which is actually I want to take that back. There was like 500 rounds of Blazer brass, 9mm, and then the remaining 1,000 rounds was Spear Lawman. And I had the stovepipe, so I had a stovepipe with each one of the different things that I tried. All 3 ammos.
Yeah, I'm a statistics nerd. Yeah. It's pretty insignificant,
but
you should practice. I'm sorry, but if you're going to carry a gun, you should be able to practice enough that whenever you have a technical issue like that with your gun, you can clear that weapon within a couple of seconds anyways.
Agreed.
I don't think that is even, it's not statistically
I don't think it's that significant.
Relevant.
That being said, I have run more rounds than that with the stock barrel and have never had a failure. So it introduced more failures, and apparently all from the breech face. The Lone Wolf barrel itself, as a review, it's a $100 option.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good enough barrel. I didn't have any problems with it. It worked as advertised. The downsides. But I found this with a bunch of other barrels, and I'll bring those up in a minute. The feed ramp was not a high polish. I was really disappointed in the finish and craftsmanship of the barrel.
Sir?
It's a 9mm. It's not that big of a deal.
No, but your level of perfection is highly tuned, perfect custom gun.
Yeah.
You want to see a polish so well that you can see your reflection in it.
I want to be able to start a fire with it.
Yes. That's really nice, high-end stuff.
Yeah.
Your level of normalcy now is very, very high.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I look at one of my CZs and I'm like, that'll work. Now when I see yours, I just want to pet it. Like, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's so pretty. You shoot this? No, it's pretty.
I just clean everything often, unlike you.
Yeah.
But
case in point, it looked pretty nice to me. It was not where you could see your reflection in it, sir. But
no. I polished. You actually, I don't know that you looked at the wolf because I did polish out the wolf barrel.
Yeah. I saw the difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, that's right. You got the schmutz on your hand. Then were giving me a hard time that I'd put a. Yeah.
I was like, this is dirty.
Yeah. Hell? It is dirty.
Franco, what the hell?
That's dirty.
Yeah.
That is dirty. It wasn't cleaned after it was used. Anyway, I was disappointed that to me it's not just a fit and finish thing. It is a reliability issue.
Agreed.
However, it's a 9mm. 9mm aren't really known for having feed ramp issues like the 45 is. In a lesser but still their degree, the 40 caliber does. I actually did have a gun that had feed, and the feed ramp had to be polished out, and it was what was it? It was a Smith & Wesson 4006. And if you felt the feed ramp on that Smith & Wesson, it was M40. Actually, it was my very first pistol ever. If you felt it, you could feel a little bit there, just like you could with the KKM that you were feeling last night. But it didn't seem that bad. But I still had hangups happening on that feed ramp, and it had to be polished out. 40s do have a little more. 357 SIG. It's such a weird thing because of the neck down, everything like that. Every gunsmith I've ever talked to said polish the feed ramp out of habit, but it's such a big hole taking up a little a little bullet that if it gets jammed, something's really wrong with that feed ramp. Anyway, so I was disappointed with the fit and finish of it, but end of the day, you know what? Put it in the gun, it ran. Ran for 2,500 rounds, and the 3 failures I have I would not blame those on the barrel. I would blame those on the fact that I was doing a down conversion. Now, the other thing is I hate the freaking cartoonish, goofy ass wolf that Lone Wolf puts on their barrels.
Okay.
I hate it. I hate their logo.
Let's boil it down to that, sir.
I just look at it and it's terrible. Legitimate complaint. It is a conversion barrel. It has no size markings on it whatsoever.
Right. I will agree with you on that.
That to me, a little dangerous.
Agreed. Because you can't just quickly look at it and be like... You can't
quickly look at it and go, what are you... I mean, granted, yeah, you can, if you know, and you can stick your finger in it and go, all right, this is a 9mm, or this is a 357, or this is the 40. Yeah, okay. I really just, in the overall thing of production, I just can't see that putting the markings on the hood of the barrel would have added that much more cost. Maybe leave off the hideous logo and instead put on the 9mm marking. Anyway, that's just
Sharpie's work. Hey, now what about all this other cool stuff that you got?
So moving from barrels, we've got holsters, and we were laughing and making a little bit of fun of Glenn because he does talk about the Raven Concealment Holster a billion times in his books. In his defense, I also absolutely love the Raven Concealment Holster.
You've actually got, what, 2?
I've got this one that's sitting here on the desk, and then I've got another one on order because this one does not accommodate a threaded barrel. And I now am getting ready to have a special accessory for my Glock 19. If the ATF will ever get off their butt and finish approving my stuff. Anyway, so I did a bunch of research on Kydex holsters when I started moving away from leather holsters. And at the time, everybody was really talking about if you really want the best one, best fit and finish and everything else, the Raven. I love my Raven. awesome holster. The only thing that I don't like about it is there is no screw on it to set the tension and friction of the holster. That being said, the friction's on it pretty good. I mean, unless you take it and really shake it upside down, the gun's not coming out. I love it. The other issue I had is after about approximately 300 practice draws, one of the screws popped out. One of the belt loop screws popped out, and then the holster was thing. Caveat to that: I'm pretty sure in the directions I half-assed read when I got it said, once you've decided on the positions of these screws, blue Loctite them in.
Yeah,
I did not blue Loctite them in, and that should be done on any of these Kydex holsters. Really, anything for that matter. I should Loctite Gen later, something. I don't know. Everything should have Loctite. Probably not the red Loctite, but
yeah, I was shocked you even had that in your kit or whatever.
The quick thing to that is the red Loctite. If you use a little propane torch, not MAP gas, don't get it. It doesn't have to get red hot. But if you throw a torch on it, get it hot, it actually does kind of melt the Loctite. You can then back the screw out. It's not true super glue. It doesn't lock it in forever. It's just you do have to introduce a high level of heat to actually break it off. So anyway, that's it. That's why, and given that, that's why I used red Loctite on your front sight post.
Gotcha.
So I also don't have any blue Loctite because damn it, it should be there. Do it right the first time. No, I'm kidding. I actually do. I'm out of blue Loctite.
Gotcha.
I would have used red Loctite. I'm not just saying that. I would have used red Loctite anyway on your gun. But the blue Loctite I am going to use on the holsters. I'm out of it, and I have another bottle of it coming. Sorry, didn't mean to kick you under the desk.
No worries.
So with that said, yeah, I am in agreement with Mr. Glenn Tate here. Raven concealment all the way. Some people like Bravo. I've never tried a Bravo. Don't know them. And I have enough freaking holsters now. I'm not going to go really doing one. Exception being, I saw this really beautiful, pretty. It's pretty. It is a Kydex holster. We did a Friday gear report about it, which Friday gear reports were never meant to be reviews. They were always just, here's something really cool I found. Really beautiful holsters. Very nice fit and finish. Everything else.
Dual tone.
Yeah, I got the super tactical black front and red back, pretty Kydex, and I even got the matching mag holsters.
Really?
I needed mag holders.
So is your kit going to be red and black too?
Yeah, because I'm Batman. So I think there was a thing where Batman did red and black. Anyway, I just thought it was really cool. It's kind of showy. It's a little too tactical nerd.
Yeah.
Tactical nerd. I'm going to go past tactical and go tactical nerd. I am a tactical nerd, though.
Is it like Mall Ninja? I mean, that's
Mall Ninja. I think
it's got the light on it. The light,
that's different. You said you put a light on your gun. Don't give me grief about that.
I don't have it in a holster. And I'm not carrying it. It's in my nightstand.
The office is a rather large place. You've seen it, and It gets very dark, and there's a lot of things that have almost been shot around the office by multiple people.
Yes.
Mannequins.
They're big, scary mannequins.
Which, so you and I have experienced, my brother has experienced this now. If you turn off all the lights in a business that has mannequins, be very careful about drawing and actually pulling the trigger on your weapon. That mannequin did not have it coming. I think between the three of us, each one of us has probably had a dozen instances where we've drawn down on a mannequin. Thankfully, never actually popped the mannequin, but almost killed a few mannequins.
They're scary, man. They're scary.
It's a dark place, and man, there was a Jason mannequin, not Jason you, but Jason like the movie Jason. And it was in this one particular area where you turned a corner and all of a sudden it was there. And that was the biggest offender. I think that was the one that I don't know if
that's one that deserved to be shot.
That is the one that deserved. There was another one that shakes. A long story why, but the mannequin shakes when you come near it. And so that one I think was the next one. Anyway, not so much review, but back to the holster. Really pretty holster. I do like that the end of the holster is actually open, so that if you get a threaded barrel for your gun or an extended barrel, you don't have the issue I had like with the Raven, where now I have to go get a second Raven holster to accommodate my threaded barrel. So that part's nice. Also, it's just, it's really pretty and it's really nice. And these belt loop things are really cool. They're kind of these boxy belt loops that have 3 notches. Or is it 3 or is it 4? 1, 2, it's 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do everything from about a 2-inch wide belt down to about a 1.25-inch belt, and it'll fit them all. The problems. This is the only actual problem I have with this holster. These belt loops, you can't conceal this. This thing doesn't conceal.
No.
Unless you're a really big dude.
Even
you'd have to be huge. You'd have to be like long Gary. You'd have to be Gary from Guns Over Texas big for this to disappear on your body. It's a big holster. And these belt loops actually push it further away from your body than the Raven. Whereas the Raven, I can conceal it with a light jacket and fleece and everything else, which is really good for an outside the waistband holster. This thing, forget it. You're large and in charge with that thing. The real issue I ran into, so this was an expensive holster. Yes. I don't remember exactly what I paid for, but I do remember thinking, wow, that's pretty pricey. But it was really cool. So I bought it. And I needed a holster that accommodated a light, because sometimes I do carry a light on my gun. And here's where the fun begins. So this is from their custom line. I order it. And I want to say about 3 months goes by. And I'm like, all right, I'm a patient guy, and I know this was a custom job. Where the hell's my holster? Because, well, you've already taken payment for it. So I contact them, and they're like, well, we're backlogged and we're still working on it. I was like, 3 months? That's beyond, what you guys promised. But reasonable. You know what? I'm not gonna hurt whatever. Y'all are small shop, something. I'm not gonna harsh it too bad. That's cool. And then they gave me, I think at that point they said, just give us another week. I said, okay, fine. Another week went by. Okay, it's not here. A few more days goes by. I'm still checking their website. Still says not shipped. Contact them again. Oh, we shipped that. It should be there already. I'm like, well, okay, your site doesn't say it's shipped. Like, no, I swear we shipped it. Okay. It should have been there already. I was like, all right, well, you know what? How'd they send it U.S. Postal Service? So I'll give it a few more days. Maybe my post guy's high, who my post guy does often come into the office smelling of weed. I have no problem with that, but just do it on your own time, man. Point being, holster never showed up. So I contacted them a little bit after that. And they're like, oh, well, it must have gotten lost. I'm like, okay, well, how about, and they're like, you know what? Right. And here at the point, I'm like pretty impressed with them, because at this point, they're like, you know what? We'll make you we're going to stop word and we'll make you a brand new one over the weekend. Okay, great. Sure enough, they sent it to me. It arrived in a very nice package. I was very impressed as a marketing guy. I was very impressed with their packaging. It was all very professional, very nice. They threw in a lot of extra swag. I got pulled it out. Oh, this is a beautiful holster. Man, this is nice. Ooh, I'm just kind of gently stroking in an inappropriate way. Stroking the holster in an inappropriate way. And lo and behold, I go to stick my gun in it, and my gun goes too far down into the holster. I'm like, what's going on here? So then the lovely and talented Miss Alana Barfield happened to be stopping by to drop off chickens or something to the farm. Mm-hmm. And she was on her way. And I said, Miss Alana, I think they made this holster for a Glock 17. She brought her Glock 17, stuck it in. Exact same thing happened. Lo and behold, they sent me a holster for a Glock 34.
Wow.
The really super crazy long 9mm Glock. And so then I tried to contact him back. And at that point, I never heard from him again, and sent him a couple more emails. Never heard from him again. I've kept the holster and not made a big deal out of it, because as long as I have my light on my gun, it does fit. The thing is that these holsters are supposed to still fit the gun even if the light is not on it. That's one of the big selling points of it, but not when the holster was made for the wrong gun.
Yeah.
The only nice thing, one of the nice things about Glocks is pretty much everything fits everything, because it's like the same slide for everything or something. So I was really disappointed with that. That being said, it's a good holster, works well if, you're not worried about concealing or anything else. So, but I don't think I'll be buying anything from Griffon Industries again. I needed to buy my next holster, and the next holster I bought was from Raven again, because
awesome.
It was awesome. It was delivered when it was supposed to be delivered. I didn't have any issues. There were no mix-ups, no nothing. It's an awesome holster,
And it's good in tape. continually says in his book.
Raven Concealment Holster.
It's the only way to go.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so you and I are a little out of the club here because, well, I have half of my, according to him, I have half of my team membership card now because I don't have a zero tolerance knife, but I have giving Glenn a little bit of a hard time there. But kidding around, all in love, folks. Anyway,
love that guy, man. By the way, absolutely
great interview. Looking forward to having him back again. I can't wait.
I definitely want to have this guy back.
So the next thing, as far as gun gear goes,
what about your go bag? Your new go bag?
Well, I'm saving that for a little while.
Oh, okay.
But I was going to finish up the Glock stuff since we were already talking about a holster. There is, one of the goofy things, and just to kind of go over this really quick, since I do have a Gen 3 and a Gen 4 Glock, and to review the two and do a comparison. They changed the recoil spring, the texturing on the Glock 4, Gen 4 is an improvement. They still didn't get rid of the stupid finger grooves on the Glock, which is kind of supposed to be this general fits the average person's finger, and in other words, fits no one. Oddly enough, I do fairly average fingers, so they fit me pretty well, but everybody else I know is kind of like, I have like average fingers and very thick hands. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway. And we won't make fun of my short thumbs today. Beating you to the punch. I have weird short thumbs. But anyway,
damn it.
So now I have one of each. I don't think I wouldn't turn my nose up if somebody said, do you want a free Gen 3 Glock? Or if I just needed a Glock and couldn't get a hold of a Gen 4 for some reason. I did not find the improvements to be that big of a deal. I really didn't. The other thing was they did not plug the freaking hole next to the magwell that leads, basically is a super highway straight to the rear trigger assembly. So dirt, grime, junk like that can go straight up there and get into the trigger assembly and cause issues.
That goes all the way through.
Now, and the plug that I got was the PSI tack rack plug and tool set. And it was really cool because then I had the takedown tool and the extractor tool built into the little plug that went into my Glock. The downside is they don't make them for Gen 4s yet. The other side of that is that you actually have to have like a 223 cartridge or a pen or pencil or something like that to push in the pin to get it out of the gun in the first place, or paper clip or something. So that was that. But other than that, I love that freaking plug. So, all right. So while we had the brief intermission to play with Jason's gun and look at it, there is a hole. He now believes me there is a hole, although he said an itty bitty tiny hole. But that's the 26. I think the hole is actually bigger. I don't remember exactly, but I think the hole is actually bigger in there. But I do like that plug allowed me to carry around the one tool a Glock really does need to be completely broken down. So I was able to carry around a punch with me. The caveat being you had to have like a paper clip or something to actually stick into the little button that allows you to pop that grip plug out.
Got it.
But it was cool. You get to, but then again, also none for the Gen 4, only for Gen 3.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't made a new one yet. I don't know what the deal is with that. Don't know, but it is what it is. But if you have a Gen 3 and you want a grip plug, I would highly suggest the PSI tack rack plug and tool set. The next piece of gear, this is definitely one of those things I would say people shouldn't try to do on their own unless you, for some reason, have all the tools and the experience and are willing to read up on it and everything else. And even then, I don't know that it was necessarily a good idea that I did it, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. And that is the Ghost Evo Elite 3.5 pound connector for the Glock, which it's hard to really describe in audio, but it's got this extra little tab that comes out. And what it does is it solves one of the aggravating things of a Glock trigger has a lot of over travel.
Okay.
So once the trigger breaks, your finger keeps coming back for a lot. And that can introduce a lot of extra movement into the thing. Again, this is getting into kind of minutia, but point being, if you're trying to tune the trigger, what this does is it has a tab that actually stops part of the, I'm not going to get into I'm going to try not to get super technical about this, but it stops part of the trigger assembly from continuing back, thereby taking that over travel out of the thing. The tricky part of that is you have to take off, it's like 1/32 of an inch or something out of that tab at a time. Here comes the tricky part. So you have to take the gun completely apart, and then you filed it down a little bit, you put it in, you reassemble the gun, only to go, it won't fire. Well, what happens when you can't fire a strike fire pistol? You can't take it back apart again. So I learned a neat trick that I'm glad I learned it, and I'm glad I had that, because it did teach me. I had to figure out, because what a gunsmith would do, or a true armorer, actually a true armorer would have been doing this anyway, but a gunsmith would have done is there is a backplate for the slide that has an opening in it, and it keeps the firing pin and plunger in place, but it gives you an opening enough that you can stick a probe in and set off the sear when you can't pull the trigger. That's how they work around it. But I found another trick, and it's just a trick. I don't even know that it's a terribly brilliant idea. It didn't seem to damage anything, and I did it a whole bunch of times because I had to. If your Glock locks up for any reason, you can lock the slide back, take off the back plate, or reach in and depress the little plastic thingy, the black plastic thingy around the firing pin, and take the back plate off, pull the striker assembly and the plunger out. Then the ejector will, not the ejector, the extractor. Yes, extractor, because ejector, two different things. It'll fall out. Then place the gun on your palm, shake it a little bit, and the safety plunger will fall out. You can then just slide right off. So there is actually a backdoor way of disassembling your Glock. It didn't seem to hurt anything. I got very proficient at doing this because you can only take off about a 30-second at a time of this tab, and herein lies the actual critique of the part itself. It is very monotonous. I spent 4 hours fiddling with this.
Wow.
Caveat is, I have all the tools. I was trying to pick up girls in college and took a whole bunch of jewelry making classes. So I have that, and I have a bunch of machining tools like squares and calipers and stuff like that. So I understood working with metal, and I understood what I was doing, and I understood the parts and how they interplay with the gun. So I went off on a wild tangent and did it myself. I also tested it with a lot of rounds after I did this without carrying it. Those safety messages aside, it's a very long process to get this thing just right. Because one of the things that I did find was you can get it to the point where there's a weird middle ground where you still have to just take just a little bit more off, but the gun will still break. So you think you're done, but the gun doesn't break every single time. If you very slowly pull your finger back, the trigger wouldn't break. But if you pull it back very quickly with more pressure, the trigger would break. So you still have to take it apart a few more times and get a little bit more off. And 4 hours later.
Wow, brother. Wow.
I get consumed with things. So I just kept going with it. So then from there, I also found that there are a couple pieces. Anybody familiar with Glocks will know and fiddling with Glocks probably more than they should, will know the parts I'm talking about. Those parts of that trigger bar that still needed to be polished out, still needed to be polished. I was a little disappointed in that. I guess they just kind of expected a gunsmith is going to be fitting this piece to your gun anyway, so they'll probably polish it out. But I was a little disappointed with it and kind of felt like that should have been polished out at the factory.
Gotcha.
It was probably polished enough, to be honest, though. It was not a mirror polish. I like things to be shiny.
It's that jewelry making background. It has to be shiny.
It's that OCD background is really what it is, I think.
I didn't want to actually openly say that.
Yeah. Sure you would.
Yeah.
Anyway, other than that, the pros of it were it worked as advertised. It took all the over travel out. There's no over travel in the pistol. I'll have to let you play with it a while because you actually haven't played with it yet.
No, I've not.
It did nothing for the pre-travel. That requires a replacement of the entire trigger assembly altogether, and is something that has to be adjusted. And if you're really into those things, you already know about them anyway, but there's the apex trigger, and there's a pyramid trigger, and there's another one, and I can't remember it, but they have little set screws in them, and you can set the pre-travel and over-travel. I don't have one of those. They're not recommended necessarily for carry or for duty carry. They're more game pistols, like if you're doing IPSEC and stuff like that. And I haven't actually heard that they introduce any failures, but super stock on Glocks is always a little bit better as far as reliability, not messing with them. So I try not to mess with the original parts. I try to buy extra parts. I'll play with them, take it to the range, run a bunch of rounds through it and go, okay, this works. Now I'll carry it. But I still have the originals that I can back up to if I needed to. Plus, zombie apocalypse, I have extra parts for my gun. I could almost build a whole nother Glock out of all the extra parts I have.
That's awesome.
It might be a funny looking Glock. It'd be some Gen 3 parts, some Gen. I'm just kidding. I would not put those parts together. But I do have a lot of extra parts now. Point being, I really like it. I don't think I would buy another one because I don't think the value was there that it needed to be done to every gun I own. The other two pistols I have, I'm not going to make the trip and expensive and buying the parts to then take it down to Edinburgh and say, okay, Ed, fit these things for me because I'm not going to go spend another 4 hours doing all of this and breaking up the calipers and the machinist square and my jeweler's files and then all the different rouges and polishing compounds that I have. I'm not going to do it. It was cool to do in one gun. I'm not going to do in another. Overall, I like it. It did a nice job. It worked as advertised. Okay. Few little things here and there, but that's just me being picky. See, the next thing we've got on the list before we get out of the gun stuff is the KKM Barrel, which
the threaded barrel.
Yeah, the new threaded barrel.
Got it.
All we can say at this point is it's pretty. I haven't shot it yet. Literally just came in 2 days ago.
Yep.
So I have not had time to go to the range.
The feed ramp is not
ramp is not a mirror finish again. And that was an expensive barrel.
Yeah,
that was. It is. So the Lone Wolf barrel is about $100. This is a $240 barrel. It's one of the 3 premium barrels that go into Glocks. There's Storm Lake, which I think Jonathan got. I think he likes his. There's KKM, and then there's Barstow. The lockup is better. The accuracy, the stock gun's already more accurate than most people anyway. Fit and finish is a lot better. It actually has the freaking caliper markings on the side of the freaking barrel, unlike Lone Wolf. The thread protector on it is really nice, very grippy. Everything seems to be great about it, but feed ramp was not polished. I can, if you run your fingernail on it, you can kind of feel it's kind of gritty. Yeah. And to me, for $240, but whatever, it's, easy enough. I'm going to go shoot it, see how it does. And if it takes it, then I'll polish out the feed ramp myself. I mean, again, I have all the crap. Might as well do it. So get something out of those jewelry making classes besides, herpes or whatever. I'm just kidding. Nothing like that. Did meet a bunch of cute girls in jewelry class. So, any college age guys, go take a jewelry class.
It'll give you good skills when you want to do man stuff like.
It's interesting. And this is a total side thing. I took a lot of very bizarre classes in college just because they were interesting to me. Jewelry making was one of them. And of all the weird classes I've taken, I think jewelry making was the most helpful, only because I later got really into guns. And anytime I want to do anything, I have all the tools. And I also know how to work with metal and stuff.
Right.
Not to the level of a gunsmith that is an everyday gunsmith who has the proper training and everything, but I do have all the fundamental understandings of treating metals, understanding what heat does to metals, what different metals respond in what different ways to heat treating, different coatings, polishing, using files, what file to what, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I still would like to do more machine stuff. But anyway, no time for that. What's the next thing on the list here is the Maxpedition compact range bag, which you have sitting next to you, because I don't know if you've actually looked at it. So I went on a wild goose chase. I did not like my range bag. I did not like any of the range bags I was coming against. I didn't like the quality of them. So I set out to find a better range bag. And I'm already a pretty good fan of Maxpedition. For the most part, everything that I've had from them, and I've got a bunch of bags from them, very, very nice construction, lots of creative thinking, addressing a lot of things that people come across.
I love the mags.
Yeah. It holds, what is that, 6 magazines?
Yeah.
Good pockets. It's a good size bag.
Good sturdy construction.
Yeah. You digging it?
Yeah. I'm actually digging this.
I'm going to tell you the cons here, and you're going to go, never mind. So the cons are, if this is a $165 list range bag, that's kind of pricey for a range bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do often find that the Maxpedition feels a little overpriced. End of the day, I buy their stuff off them because it holds together, and the quality of construction is a lot better than any other range bags I found.
Yep, my Bulldog fell apart.
Yeah. I think I had a Bulldog too. I had a Phantom something or other, and it fell apart. And I mean, the range bags, you're going to throw them down. They're going to get dirty. They're going to,
and you're holding quite a bit of weight in them.
You're holding weight. The other thing I don't like about this thing is it needs to be about 1.5 to 2 times the size it is. I think so. I can carry almost everything I need in there. If I've got, say, a case of 9mm in there, or even 500 rounds of 9mm in there, I can carry up to about 1,000 rounds of 9mm in that bag with its nice little its removable ammo bucket thing it has. I can carry it just fine. I then don't have any room for, say, a spotting scope. I don't have any room for, more importantly than the spotting scope, and more often used, of course, would be hearing protection. I don't have room for muffs in there. I don't have room for a holster. I do still have room for about 2 pistols, 6 magazines, eye protection, which I have my eyes in a case with extra lenses and all that stuff in there. Plenty of room for all that. So for a very basic, what probably most people are going to carry to the range, it's great. It's a little overpriced. I'd say if it was a $100 bag, I would have felt good about the purchase. $165, I feel, give me another 1.5 times the size, maybe 2 times the size, rock on. There is another bag that they have that is what's the name of it? It's like the Centurion patrol bag. That is an officer's patrol bag. So it's got extra compartments and it's got the extra size, and it actually is about twice the size of that range bag. And at the end of the day, to be fair to this bag, it is the compact bag. It is not the full-size bag, but there is no full-size bag except that patrol bag. But that patrol bag's $250.
Ouch.
Yeah. So $200 for a range bag, it's too much, too steep. But I mean, even $165 for a range bag.
My Timbuktu holds a lot of stuff.
It does. And honestly, at that point, like, unless you really want and need things that are pockets that are very specific to shooting, like the special magazine pockets that are on this thing, then, and the nice soft bucket that comes out of this bag to hold your ammo in. Other than that, in most instances, a good solid regular bag would have been just fine. Like a good solid like JanSport backpack or something probably would have been just fine.
Just like I go to the range. Bag o' guns.
Bag o' guns, yes. Well, you've got bag and pockets, and every time it's what was that? It was like, I don't remember which movie it was, but the guy just starts pulling all these knives out everywhere, and that's you. Every time we go to the gun trade, the guy's like, another gun. Whenever we've got like handguns for whatever reason. Anyway,
I'm turning in my carry guns whenever they wanted to like.
They wanted to like see everything you've got.
Yeah, and I was just like okay. And I just started pulling guns out. He's just like, how many do you carry? And I was like, well, usually at least 2. Just happens today I got 3 on, actually on my body.
Yeah, you carry.
I've got a lot of pocket guns.
You do. You've got a lot of like the 380 and everything else. Now we're still hoping that Glock comes out with the single stack 9mm at SHOT Show.
Yeah.
There was something else I heard of that they might introduce instead.
Really?
I think they would have a lot of Glock fans really upset with them if they did this. I don't remember what the other thing was. I just remember hearing about it in passing. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's still even a rumor that the single stack 9mm Glock exists. We'll find out here in the next couple weeks, I guess.
Gotcha.
And hopefully within the next year, towards the end of this year, we get to do a review of that. I'm doing a little happy dance if it comes out because I love the 26. I shoot as well with the 26 as I do with, which is their subcompact, as I do with their Glock 19, their compact. But at the end of the day, I'd still really like something even smaller than the 26.
Yeah, man, that our 2 gun revolutions were kind of separate. I evolved in a very corporate setting where I had to actually really conceal my stuff, and I had to wear suits and stuff like that. Whereas you had a little bit more flexibility, whereas you could wear whatever you needed on you.
Yeah. Well, I have 2 offices, one being at home, and then I can wear a holster and boxer shorts for all anybody cares. And then the other office here in town, my name's on the building. So I can do whatever I want. But yeah, you had an issue where you actually did have to conceal. My only thing is, if I'm going to wear jeans or nice slacks and get dressed up and take Jen out to dinner, and this does become an issue, then I really do run into still having to take into consideration what I'm wearing,
right?
Because of the gun. And I will say, with that 42, I could see sticking that in the waistband and still having shirt tucked in, and it'd still just vanish on you.
You'll forget that you have it on because it's almost identical to my car PM9.
Yeah.
And then, God forbid, my little LCP.
Yeah, that thing.
Half the time I forget I even have that on.
Yeah. I looked at the car and I still just.
You don't like that double action? But my PM9 like is a very smooth double action.
Don't get me wrong. I think it is a very, very smooth trigger. I just think it's a trigger that I will grow a ZZ Top beard by the time I'm done pulling that trigger. It's just kind of like, okay, guys, enough. Enough. Are we there yet? Well,
with my old CZs, I got accustomed to really long trigger pulls.
That makes sense.
So I was already comfortable with it.
And I think, so going on from that, the bag that we were alluding to, now it is an ugly bag, I will admit. And the Maxpedition is starting to sound like a Maxpedition commercial. It's really not. I like Maxpedition. I think they make really good quality stuff.
Even mine, it hasn't broken down at all.
Oh yeah. I've got a couple of bags, and you know what? I've tried a bunch of their bags. I've never had any issues with the Maxpedition. I do know somebody that was like, "Oh, the zipper broke," but I've never had any problems with any of my bags. The Sitka, it's a gear slinger. It's a one sling. It's still, and this is my issue with everything Maxpedition, like everything in the community, it's tactical.
Yeah, it's very. No, I mean, it's not even remotely gray, and you actually got a gray greenish color.
It was the ACU because they don't even have now. Gray is the new tactical black.
Yes.
And a bunch of companies in the industry are playing with the grays. And we've got Storm Grays from 511 and the Wolf Gray from Arctics, or however the hell you pronounce that company's name. And then what else do we have? And then we have somebody else has gray this or that, gray man, gray ghost, gray everything. And it's slowly gray is starting to seep in, which I think is great and it's awesome. But I would still love to see these companies come out with gray is a great color, but you can't just change the color.
Right.
I don't need Molly on this is a little bitty bag. It doesn't need Molly on it.
Exactly.
If I need a bigger bag, then I'm going to go buy a bigger bag, not try to put attachments on this thing. So, but I think that's it. I think these companies lose sight of maybe this doesn't need Molly. Maybe we don't need to put Molly on everything.
I see the industry kind of unfolding, and we've talked about building our own bag because of our frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
But like 511 has that triangular sling looking thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a takeoff of the Maxpedition Monsoon.
Yeah, I like it, but it looks too 80s. That's the best way I can describe it. It looks like an 1980s bag.
Yeah.
I love the concept of it. If I could find something to carry my AR in it, it would be absolutely awesome, but it just looks too 80s.
Well, that's even like who is it? Hazard 4 makes what is supposed to be a low profile guitar case for ARs. They still managed to make it look tactical. I don't remember exactly, but I think there's Molly on the outside of it. I don't remember exactly what it was because I looked at it like months back and I remember just laughing going, did you take something that was like perfectly fine and then make it tactical? And you were trying to make it for concealment. But anyway, the industry is going in that direction, trying to make things better. But it's some guys are getting it, some guys aren't.
I think some of the tactical designers have just they're just so used to tactical.
You get stuck in a rut, and it's hard. And there very well could be the market that's just.
Damn it! Bring in Ralph Lauren to like make our gun cases. Hello.
Well,
damn it, Coley on the UR. Hello, talk to him. Talk to him for us. Come on.
I think a lot could be done. I don't think the bags. I understand the design, the compartmentalism, that makes perfect sense. I want all that stuff, but the outside of the bag doesn't need to match what's going on the inside.
Amen to that.
And I just forgot the name of it, but there is actually a camera bag sitting directly behind Jason that is it's almost a herringbone pattern to it and everything else. And it's a really nice sling bag. And I wish I could, if somebody would make a everyday bag like that that accommodated guns and guns and extra magazines and stuff like that. Like
we don't need to look like operators walking around downtown.
No, I don't want to look like an operator walking around downtown.
So frustrating.
It is. And it's hard to find because the real advantages of these bags is they do have specialized compartments that keep magazines in place and that keep your multi-tool in place and these other little odds and ends that we do all carry that, I could just get a regular JanSport backpack or Timbuktu backpack or something like that and throw this stuff in there. But it's stuff I don't necessarily want rattling around and banging against each other. And I don't want to have to buy extra bags and things to go inside and all this. So it's just, make a freaking true gray bag and not just the color gray.
Yep.
Anyway, it's an ugly bag, but it's built really well. The price was it was Maxpedition. It was a little higher than I thought it should have been. But at the end of the day, you know what? I don't get to make up their prices. So they get to charge what they want, and I get to decide whether or not I want to give it to them. And at the end of the day, I decided to give it to them. So it's a great bag. I think as far as a very small, lightweight EDC bag, it's excellent. It has a holder on the outside of the bag for the Nalgene bottle. It has a very nice sturdy clip on the sling itself that you can attach keys to and stuff. It's got an extra strap because you just have that one sling that comes across. And if you needed to really move, that one strap is going to move around a lot. They have a nice little hidden strap that you can pull out and clip into that. And now it will hold it tight to your body. You know, it's typical most of the Maxpedition bags. The inside part that touches your back itself is pretty well padded. Mm-hmm. The compartments inside of it are great. Again, the outside of the bag is freaking ugly. On the inside, it fits, it's got the one dedicated pocket that fits a couple magazines and a few other little tools that I carry around. There's another 2 pockets that are great for IDs and money and cards and computer cables and stuff like that. The inside is big enough for me to carry maybe if you pack down a fleece and then a thin, smaller laptop like the MacBook Air 13-inch, which is what I wag around with. I think you can fit the smaller of the MacBook Pros in there too. So if that gives anybody size ideas of what it's like. Uh-huh. But that's just it. I was going for a smaller bag so that I wasn't carrying around so much junk every day. Because I don't need to storm the castle going to the doctor or something. It's a really good bag. I think the downside is just that it still looks tactical. And it only comes in tactical colors.
Yeah.
So
we need to invent like an insert for a Timbuktu bag.
I think there are some, so like Maxpeditions and a few others make Velcro based stuff, and then they have a Velcro board that you can then stick down and things. And I think they even came out with one for women's purses. I don't remember who it was, but they do exist. So the issue is, does it really grip and stay in there like it should? I think is the problem that people run into.
Pants. 511 pants.
511 pants. Yeah, there's another. So the tactical pants become problematic because you do want the pockets and everything else. I know this personally. Mm-hmm. You want the cargo pockets are nice and everything like that. They are strong. They do stand up. They could be toned down a little bit, but it seems like when they tone them down to the point where I should just go to Banana Republic or something and buy some chinos or something like that. It's like, why am I buying chinos from 511? And actually, they don't even have any. But it's still like they dumb them down so much that it's like, all right, well, now it's useless. And therein lies the problem. And I'm sure these guys really do wrestle with this. It is a design problem. Mm-hmm. Now, the striker pants that came out in the new gray, I got a pair, and I've actually had most people at first glance confuse them for being slacks. They do, even the cargo pockets on them kind of blend away. Now, if you really looked, you realize they're cargo pants, but the rest of
they look pretty good. I was actually kind of impressed with them.
They ended up being that when I'm not wearing jeans or having to wear a suit or something like that, they have really kind of become my go-to pants. I like them because I carry a knife and I carry that M18 Olight every day. Plus I've got, a wallet and gun. Mm-hmm. And that stretch in the waist is nice for dealing with the gun.
Right.
I love it. But you're not.
Here's my thing. I already look like either a cop, an ex-con, or some thug as it is. So I don't want to like go completely and utterly the tactical operator.
Mm-hmm.
But I need stuff to put all of my everyday carry stuff. Where's the happy medium?
Therein lies the problem. Yeah.
I can't find the happy medium in between. I would love to have a pair of pants with built-in knee pads in it, but not where you see them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just, I wish they could figure out a way to do a gray type of tactical slack. Now, Columbia has one they're called hidden cargo pants.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically cargo pants if sewn inside the slacks, but there's no actual cargo like stuck on the side of your legs.
Okay.
It's actually on the inside, so it's kind of like the normal pockets on the front of a pair of pants, and they have access through zippers on inside the seam.
Oh, that's interesting.
Perfect, absolute perfect. But they don't make one a little heavier duty. The ones that they make are kind of thin, so they're nice in the summertime, but they're not very ruggedish. They're nice to have around like when it's really hot or something like that. But I wouldn't want to take them. I wouldn't want to be going down in a knee in those. They're almost borderline slacks.
I gotcha.
It was great when I was in the office.
Mm-hmm.
My LCP fit perfect in those. I could put everything that I needed in them. It was great, but a canvas would have been nice. Just a nice like khaki canvas.
Yeah, like a better pair of.
Yes, perfect. But they're all that tactical
ripstop.
Yeah, ripstop.
Yeah.
I'm just like, give me that, mixing just a little bit more, tactical, like hidden.
Yeah.
And put that into something that's like a heavier denim, like a Gap pair of khakis. And I am like set, man. I'm golden. I
get what you're saying. And I was thinking about that earlier today, that one of the things I really like in the striker pants that aren't in the regular 511 pants are they have those thin slit pockets that don't have a flap on them.
Right.
That are on the front. For me, they're perfect because it fits my iPhone perfectly. I love it.
Right.
But the other nice thing is if you don't have, you can throw like a knife or something down, unclip it and throw it down in there. And then you don't have the knife in your pocket and you don't have it showing. And I think they could do something like that, like on the side of the leg or something where it's like, okay, if I didn't have something in it, the pocket just kind of goes away.
Right.
If you've got stuff in your pockets, it's going to bulge. It's just, it is what it is. At that point, it doesn't matter how well concealed or whatever else it is. Some hidden sewn in knee pads would be nice. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit,
a little bit.
Just enough that I don't like go down on my knee and like kill my knee on concrete.
Exactly.
Just enough protection, like almost like an extra layer of fabric there.
Yeah.
I do know from having grown up in the apparel manufacturing business that would be tricky to do, but it can be done to do that hidden layering on the inside. It's an added expense. But yeah, I really wish somebody would come out with a covert pair of pants that was not the ripstop. It has a definite pattern to it, and it gives itself away.
Yes.
The caveat to that is it only gives itself away to other tactical people. Because no one else knows what tactical ripstop looks like because nobody else is into tactical ripstop, so they don't know it has that little square pattern.
Right.
Maybe some bad guys know.
Right.
Because they're used to, being chased by those pants. But the average person, I don't think they have any idea.
Just some good, nice, heavy duty canvas, man.
Yeah.
Just, old school khakis.
Mm-hmm. There is a company that makes a pair of pants and they're damn near indestructible. They're like $300 a pair though. They don't have the pockets we're looking for. And now that I'm talking about it, the name of the company just went completely out of my head. It was a company that Jonathan found years ago. And I'll try to find it and maybe throw it into the next episode or something like that. But the pants, I mean, that goes to everything of trying to actually find stuff that's balances functional with gray and not the color gray, but actual.
I think somebody needs to come out with something that just normal looking khaki pants, normal looking like canvas looking messenger bag that you just blend in with the rest of everyone else.
Yeah.
That's what us preppers are looking for and wanting to do. We're not mall ninjas. We don't want to announce to the world that we're, have all this stuff on us. So don't make us like wear the mall ninja stuff and try to like downplay it.
Yeah. And I think, or, we're not, most of us aren't cops. Right. I mean, there are a lot of cops that are that are preppers and stuff like that.
Right.
But a lot of us that want to wear this stuff, we're not cops. So it's not okay And we don't want to broadcast the world that we're talking about. And you know what? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of cops that would actually much rather have their stuff be much more subdued.
Oh, yeah.
Than vast majority of the stuff that's out there that claims to be covert. Because the covert stuff is still like, you're not covert.
You look like cheesy 80s, man. I'm sorry. It looks like cheesy 80s stuff.
It's pretty bad.
Speaking of that, I actually bought Ash a covert bag because I'm trying to get her to carry more. You know, I mean, she has a CHL. And I got her a covert bag, and it's too big for her. She likes to carry the little clutch thing, and the little clutch thing does not hold a Glock 42 for those.
There are some.
Yeah, but
not many. And not most of them are not attractive. Cole Haan and Coach and Gucci are not making bags with that. Alana brought that up one day, and she was trying to figure it out one time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, she does carry those clutches and everything else, because what she does in her real life and her real job, but she carries a gun, and she's like, nobody makes a really pretty good purse that, and some people do make purses, but they think they're pretty, but they're not.
No, they look 80s.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful.
So bad.
So
bad.
But that, I would love to see that too. And I mean, that kind of, Jen had an issue where she wears the Lululemon leggings often, the workout pants.
Right.
She does work out a lot. So she wears those a lot. And of course, that makes carrying a holster very problematic for her. Plus, she goes running and everything else. And I don't particularly like the idea of her running in the park without her gun on her. And I mean, she doesn't either. So we ran into the issue, and we finally found, after searching high and low on the internet, we found Remora Holsters. And I actually found, and I can't think of the woman's name now, but she's a YouTuber and does holster and gun reviews and all this other stuff. And she did one on a review of the Remora holster and was talking about particularly the leggings and the issue. And she had talked about that as a test, she stuck this Remora holster, which is essentially kind of a very grippy, it's made of a very grippy material. It has no belt loops or anything, but it's perfect for subcompact guns. And she shoved it into the pants and then got on a treadmill and ran with it. And she said it felt like it was moving, like it was going to fall out, but it actually was just kind of jiggling around a little bit and actually didn't go anywhere, and it held onto the gun perfectly.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, let's give this a try. So I got one for Jen. It actually works really freaking well. So ladies out there looking for a holster option that maybe wear those workout pants or go running or anything else, that don't want a fanny pack and advertise the fact. Of course, you still have to wear kind of a blousey or shirt to still conceal the gun. You can't wear all super tight stuff. And sorry, life is full of, drawbacks, but that is a holster. Again, it was the Remora holster, very cheap, shipped very quickly. I want to say it was like $30 or something like that.
Wow.
Worked perfectly. If I wear stretchy pants, I'm totally going to get myself one. I don't see myself starting to wear stretchy pants.
You never know.
I'm not wearing stretchy pants. Please don't wear stretchy pants.
Even tactical.
I don't care how tactical the stretchy pants are, unless I get hit on the head and am under the delusion that I'm a superhero.
Got it.
I'm not wearing stretchy pants, or my underwear on the outside of my pants for that matter. But that, that's the whole superhero thing. Anyway.
80s, man. Back to the 80s. Yeah. Boxers outside of the leggings.
Oh, yeah.
Madonna. Enough said.
Yeah,
Madonna.
yeah, I remember now. But anyway, back to the point. The holster worked as advertised. It worked really well. It also worked in jeans and everything else, of course. But particularly for somebody who works out, runs, wears those stretchy pants, she found it great. Back to the purse thing. Yeah, no idea, man.
The Kel-Tec clip thing for the LCP.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have a clip for the LCP now too. But they first came out with them for the Kel-Tec.
Okay.
And it's basically a knife clip that actually attaches to the side of the gun. And so you can literally clip it in your pants just like you would a knife.
I have seen that done where people have basically super glued a clip onto their Glock.
Well, I don't know about that.
And done the same thing.
They actually make one that actually pins in.
My concern with it, I have no experience with it, so I'm spitballing here. My concern with it, at least in the Glock, the safety is in the trigger. I would not trust sticking an unprotected trigger down my pants.
Fair enough.
I mean,
but they work.
I'm sure they work. I just would worry, like with that Kel-Tec order, does it have a manual safety? I mean, I still would.
No.
No?
None of my guns have safety.
So I still
these weird Glock things is the first gun I've ever owned with an actual safety. Everything else is double action or
yeah, that's true.
Or you've seen what happens when you have safeties on guns. You remember the little thing that I did at the range?
No. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is sticking an unprotected trigger down my pants. I'm just saying I'm gonna ignore that. I'm just saying I'd like to have some kind of guard over the trigger, like the Raven Concealment makes the Vantage, which is basically just a trigger guard with a kind of string thing on it or something. But that's all it does is it covers up the trigger. And like I would be cool with one of those clips if it also had some sort of something that covered up the trigger. Right. And when you pull it out of your pants, which I think is the point of the Vantage, that it yanks that off. I think you tie off the Vantage to something so that when you yank it out, it pulls that off. Like a tampon string and thing. I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, point being...
And what are you tying it to? There's not a whole lot of stuff you can tie it to. You know, this conversation is getting way too kinky. Way too kinky.
Anyway. All right. With that, I think we're going to stop there. But anyway.
So
let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. All right. With that, we wrap up episode 124. Thank you for joining us today. And don't forget to become part of the Roving Horde. Go to intherabbithole.com/Roving Horde. Once more for the spelling challenged, Horde ends with an E. And musicians, shoot me a message at music@intherabbithole.com. From the Lone Star State, till next time, stay safe and sound.